fuck me, this episode of Clover, like, whew. This is, yeah, it's gonna be, like, there is one, so if you don't want to hear me just, like, rant and ramble about, like, what was wrong with this episode, then just know. Because here's the short part. This episode was bad, like, just how it was handled, like, start to finish, and I'm like, again, I'm more towards this because I really like the material of how it was in the manga, like, also, like, and you know what's going to be my two major issues with this week's episode? Production and pacing. The two glorious P's that, like, affect Black Clover, because of course it's affected by the third P, which is period. Oh, you can fucking tell when they're stretching their shit out, and it's like, yeah, maybe we should work on Tokyo Ghoul Re and Boruto and do the side stuff as well for all the other studios. In a world that kind of makes sense, it would be like you'd work on maybe 1 to 2 things at once, but that's just not how it works in the anime industry. When you're like an anime production side, you just don't do that. Like, because that's how you make money, because you do a bunch of other stuff, and then also as well you have a bunch of freelancers. And well, let's just talk about, I think, what was probably the most egregious part of this episode, where it was like they had canon part, because this was all just one chapter, by the way, so, you know, strap yourself in. We're back to the good old days of, like, stretching the episodes to everything that they could fucking be. The worst part of it, like, I think this episode, is that we had a tiny bit of, like, of the canon part, which was everything that was Noelle was talking about, whereas she's like, I've heard about, like, stuff like with Vito before. It's like, there was a long time ago where there was servants of demons in this world, and they tried to, you know, take away their magic in the world for themselves, and only the strongest could use, like, forbidden magic like that to eliminate all humans. That was like a couple little panel or something that probably made it last like 30 seconds, 40 seconds. Then after that is 7 minutes of recap, including the opening, including, like, catching all back to snuff, and then what else do we have to make up the time? Filler, which ruins a really cool badass introduction, because Vanessa is supposed to get a spotlight. Now, I was actually excited for this. I was like, you know what, if they're gonna fill in the spot, give me some Vanessa time. And it was like, even that was fucking flat. She's against some mosquito guy, and he's like, oh yes, I can use my powers to, like, use sound. And she's like, okay. It looks hideous. Like, it's the most stiffest animation. Like, it's just cells just moving like this. And it was like, okay, alright. Wow, I'm really hoping when we get back to the canon, it's going to improve this and not this in-canon filler. No, the whole episode's like that, really. Like, there's a lot of off-modeling. There is, mainly Asta was the only one that was on model for the most part in this episode. Like, there were, like, 2 really good shots of him, and sure, she deals with this fucking no-name motherfucker who's like, alright, time to go. Let's cut back to Yami again, screaming that he can't do anything, and he's like, alright, like, let's just keep delaying that, where it's like, we get it, Yami can't get out, so let's just, let's drag that scene on. Then it's kind of more to the point where, like, Asta, like, gets up, it's like, how the hell did you get up, Asta? And it's like, Kohono just gave me the last tiny bit of her strength before she, like, before she kind of went down and all that. It was like, used the energy to heal me, and it's like, with a little bit of the lullaby, and it's just like, it's like, we need to do this. And it's like, and one thing that interestingly Asta says, where it's like, because they mentioned is like, there is no such magic that can let you regrow limbs, so that's why they're considering also a more of the serious scenario with Kohono and Kyoto, where it's like, they destroyed the throat, and they destroyed, like, Kyoto's leg. One thing that I found kind of interesting about that was just, like, the fact that Asta was just like, look, if he can do it, and, like, he's created an arm, there must be other people that can do something like that. Then again, the fact that they're still like, how the hell did, like, and it was in the manga, so I was like, how the hell did Kohono really heal? Because, like, if her throat was destroyed and she was, like, forcibly trying to sing or, like, whisper, and I'm like, you just wouldn't be able to fucking do that. Your process being breathing, but you know, sense of disbelief with that one, like on that, because it's the thing in the manga that I was always a little bit iffy about as well. And I'm like, that's like I said, it's the less egregious thing in this entire episode, where I was like, all right, Asta goes and prays Noelle, and they're like, you are amazing and all that. Leave everything to me from now on. Like after everything you've done. Then it focuses a bit on Finral a bit, which that was in the manga, but wow, did they just make him... I remember, I think even the chapter, I was like, man, Finral, you're such a bitch. Like holy hell, like, girl. They, like, again, remember when I said they bring out, like, the best and the worst of these characters? Finral's probably had it the worst, because they've made Finral the most sleaziest, unlikable piece of shit. Because, like, in the chapter, it's just like, oh... like, look, I don't want to deal with that guy. He's a serious problem. Oh, look, there's an escape hole there. I need to go and get the people out. In this one, he is just like, no, I can't do this. Screw this. I need to run away and all that. Like, and there's no chance for us to win it all. What the hell is Ass doing? He's an idiot. Like, and he, even that, it's just, it was that, and it's like, it pretty much ends with Vanessa saving the day, dragging everyone out, like all the injured, so now that they don't have to worry about that anymore. And honestly, like, she even, like, there was one bit of line which I always come for. She was like, oh, look, it's that weird fairy dude that, like, Yami talked about. Man, I really should be pissed drunk if I'm dealing with a monster like him. And I'm like, yeah, that's Vanessa for you, like that. And she was just like, I can kind of see now why everyone kind of, like, has been getting inspired by you a lot recently. You've been giving a bit of fresh air, like, to, like, Magna, to Lark, to Gauch, like, to the rest of the gang, like, even the captain a little bit on them. It's like, you know, and she's like, I came here and all that because you never gave us, so, you know, I'm gonna give them my all for this fight as well. Which involves, again, something which I liked a lot about, like, this stuff in the manga, where I was like, this is everyone getting involved. Finral finally steps up. Finally, he's going to get involved, and he's going to try and help. Like, he redirects one of, like, Vito's blast right in front of his face, and he's like, like, trying to act all kind of cool and everything on there, and he's just like, you know, sure, why not? Like, I guess I'll try and do my best, to help you on there. And, like, even, like, Vanessa's like, I came out and I'm scared to get, and it's just this little joking matter, but, like, the fact that it's, like, Finral in the anime is only doing this so he can get a hug. I'm not even joking, like, one of the main reasons was, like, I can be cool in front of Vanessa, and I can, like, even in his head, he's like, no, I'm gonna die, why am I gonna do this, I'm gonna die in my head, and I remember that was, like, something that happened in manga as well, but, like, this episode, like, it was just like, God, again, I think Finral's probably come out the worst out of this adaptation, like, holy shit, he's become so fucking unlikable, and it's like, again, he hasn't had his moments to shine, and they're not till later on. I still think even out of a lot of them, like, him and Gauch have come out the least likable out of all the Black Balls. Like, Vanessa, I think, has come out pretty decent even without her arc. Like, Charmy's been, like, kind of what I expected. Same thing. Magna and Lark was to be expected, how I felt about them, and it's just like, but, whew, and there is not much else I can describe about this episode apart from it was, like, Noelle is on backup to protect all the bodies right now and, like, make sure everyone's going on there. And it was like, we kind of have to rely on Asta with his anti-magic, like, because he seemed to be the only one. And Finral and Vanessa step up, which, like, one of my favorite panels as well is, like, Asta, Finral, and, like, Vanessa all, like, going in and saying, we ain't gonna let you die. And they're all teleporting around, going at, like, Vito, like, crazy. And it was like, they're all doing these crazy redirects, and it was stilted, it was, like I said, off-model, it was fucking hideous. Like, a good shot. It is not the worst part, like, looking parts of this show. Like, I think still, like, where we've seen, like, Mimosa, like, looking really, like, hideous, derpy and stuff like that. But it's just so many times throughout this episode where it's, like, not even just still shots. Like even just, like, when you pause the episode and you're like, ooh, that looks like a wonky day. It's, like, even for that, and I'm like, the fucking preview for next week looks fucking awful. There was not a single good bit in that entire episode where I'm like, that looks still like, it looks ugly. Like, this is the problem where it's like, this is generally a fact where it's like, and I mentioned it with the last week's episode review, it's like, man, I really hope they're just saving up for people. I really hope there's, like, the last episode, because again, like, this was the episode where it's like, I have beyond given the benefit of the doubt. We're nearly a year into this show. Like, we're into a whole 50 episode run of this series. An anime adaptation should be there to enhance the material that was there. Maybe do its own spin on it. It should give you a reason where it's like, you know, regardless of like anime versus manga fucking thing. Like that's pretty much been this whole video where like, again, like yes, I'm bitching where it's like, well, why the fuck are you watching it then? Because again, there are still things out of the anime adaptation that I do like, but it's episodes like this where it becomes unfucking defendable, where it's like, it's flat out, this was a bad episode. And a lot of this, again, is handled by whether it's the actual director himself thinking that it's like, no, they're being forced to be like, we need to pace this out as it needs to be specifically this. And I'm like, again, if it was the pacing issues that you were having fucking problems with, if it was like, we do not have enough material in the manga to cover this entire arc. We literally have spin-offs. We have a little minute clip thing at the end. No, I'm sorry. There is one good part of this episode that looks really good. And it's the fucking petite Clover little shit. Because you know why? And I can't believe they even decided to bring that cover page. And it is probably the most sexual bit of content that you'll see in the entirety of Black Clover. But they show off this really like etchy picture of Mimosa and Noelle at the desert, and it was like I believe it's not from this chapter, but it's probably from like one of the few chapters, like 4 or 5 weeks like prior to the like chapter 68, 69, whichever one we are on, like adapting. And I'm like, sure, that was the one bit where it was like, because like they were like, let's just spend time, I'm just gonna do this still image, and I'm like, that's the best looking part of the entire episode. And that's sad because this is from the petite Clover after everything, after the entire run. And I'm just like, fuck, like, this is why, again, where it's like ongoing animes just nowadays and all that just do not, like, they are not what they used to be. And there is not enough animators in the industry. There is not enough time to make them when they're working on 8, 9 different projects. It just does not work. Again, this is why recently, I know with the One Piece anime, they've been getting some very good people working on that, and it's actually giving me some hope again for the anime. It doesn't give me hope for a lot, like, to continuously watching it, because again, my biggest issue with it is like, One Piece half a chapter to one chapter is fucking unbearable to me. But at least they make it pretty. They're giving you reasons to actually, like, some of the shots and stuff, like how their composition, it works in there. And it's like, you need other things for Black Clover to kind of shine out a little bit more. If it doesn't do the source material justice, or if it doesn't enhance the source material on there, like, even if it was a one-to-one, it still needs to do something else out there. Like, the one thing is, like, what, the special effects at some points, I was like, that looks fine on there, and it's like, oh, Asta there, like, oh, you look decent in that shot, or like, again, it's just like, this was rough. This was a very rough episode, and yeah, no, like, there's no point in, like, being, I feel like this point where it's like, where, like, again, like, people who would have stopped watching this show they did that in the first 5 to 4 episodes of the show. Like, they did that long beforehand, before we got this, and it annoys me and it upsets me, because I really like this arc in the manga. I really do. And it's like, regardless of like how like you give the material, because it's a chapter, and it's like, I know that chapter and I know it as well, but it's like, you think about how you read a chapter of anything, fuck it, whether it's monthly, whether it's weekly, whether it's a fucking 4 coma, you go through that, and there is a huge difference between how long it takes you to read a single weekly chapter versus 20 minutes of your time. Like, let's be honest, does it actually take like most general people to read, like, say, like 16 pages, or say like a comic book like that? No, it just generally doesn't, at least not like for me, and it just does not translate well. And this is why when Bleach tried to do it with its 10 minutes. It did not work with it, like a giant 10-minute recap episode. It does not work with fucking Black Clover at all. Like, it is without a doubt unbearable, and it has turned people off the show. It does not work with One Piece, and that explains a big reasons of this decreasing in viewership. Like, and then with the addition that it was ugly for quite a while, and now they've only got some really good talented animators like going into the show. Like, this is why the 24 episodes to 13 just is just working a lot better at this point. And again, it goes to the studio as well, and it goes to the people that are working on these shows, and I'm not going to shit on them, because anime production is something that not anyone here that is watching this, not anyone that's like, you know, sitting down typing on their little Crunchyroll account saying like these episodes, like fuck these, like fuck this show, fuck the anime, like no, I don't want any of that shit. At the end of the day, I want this to be more a piece where it's like, look, flat out, look, like, you need to look at this episode and go, is this going to entertain? The one thing that matters out of everything, like, the episode needs to, has to enhance from the source material. It doesn't need, like, I'm fine with shots looking like dog shit. I'm fine with Aaron Elbow going, woof, oh, alright then. But it needs to give you a reason where it's like, man, I go back to the anime to see that and that. And this will probably, like, again, this is stuff that's, like, will this be, like, touched up in the Blu-rays? Yes. Some of these are, like, hideous shots will be turned, like, touched up on the Blu-ray. Will that, like, take rid of the pacing? No, because they wouldn't just cut out 10 minutes of the entire fucking show. They wouldn't do that. You can see how this episode just tired me. Like, it tired me, it made me pissed off, and it's just like, man, I get, like, now, like with, I understand with how people were moaning about Tokyo Ghoul, like, with season 1, I understand that. At least that was, like, 12 episodes, and it didn't look like horseshit at some points, and it didn't look like they had, like, one guy in the office that day, and it's like, that poor man hasn't slept in about 5 days, and he's like, I just need to get this done. I just need to. So, yeah. No, I'm not gonna shit on any of the animators, because those poor guys make fucking barely any money. They're breaking their fucking fingers. They're breaking their asses for that. This is more the fault of this, of just generally the higher-ups at this point, where it's like, yeah, no, we could do 50 episodes. Yeah, no, sure, we can do that. Yeah, no, we've got the manpower, the budget, and, like, all the, you know, staff that are willing to work on that, even though we're working on another, like, giant ongoing show at the same time. You know, yeah, no, it's fine. Don't worry about it. No. Oh, yeah, no, don't worry about it. It's no, shh. Like, yeah, it's just, fuck. Like, it's just generally, like, I'm trying to think. This is without a doubt. This is probably my least favorite episode of everything I've been watching this season, and I haven't been watching a lot. This is not the... I don't even know if this is the worst episode of the show. Like, of the entire run. And I hate that, like, this entire anime for me has either been, man, those episodes, when those golden little episodes come out, and they're golden, and they're great, and it's like, man, I can't wait for next week. It's just been more consistent. This has been the most meh to woof adaptation that Pierrot's done for me in a while. Like, I know some people will say, like, Route A on there, like, was one of the... Route A was rough. Like, that was just, like, that was a really just rush production, and, like, the whole drama going behind the whole storyboarding, and, like, everything that went behind the scenes with Ishida. Like, that one there, like, generally, like, again, same thing happened with, like, Beelzebub around about the end. Like, and I know how, like, then again, like, they... Twin Stars, as much people gave flack with, like, the amount of filler. Like, this sounds like another Twin Stars, generally. The difference is that Twin Stars didn't look like shit a lot of the time, at least when I watched it. So, yeah. Again, like, I don't know what the fuck to really say about this, where it's like, again, I'm in it for the long haul on there. I'm seeing the last few episodes, but I just can't really recommend the adaptation unless you're a fucking die-hard fan. I cannot recommend this to, like, a newer audience. I would rather them just say, watch clips from the show, like watch certain clips from the show. There you go. And then just read the manga. If some of that stuff interests you, just watch certain fight scenes, just watch like certain moments on there, like the English dub, like on there, like maybe. But it's just like this was rough, and I know, fuck it, I'm gonna get flack for it. Where it's like, man, you've been beating this dead horse for a while. Where it's like, well, stop giving me a fresh dead horse on the field to beat then. Like, it continuously keeps coming out to the field where I'm expecting alive horses to graze and there's still a corpse there with flies attached to it. Give me something else, like, and all that, like, to talk about than the same problems, which is production, pacing equals periods. So there we go. I'm fucking done. I'm tired of, like, talking about this episode. It made me angry. It was bad. It is, like I said, it is probably one of the worst episodes of the show. Is it the actual worst episode of the show? I would have to look at some of those really bad early episodes. I would have to go back to some of those on there. And again, I'm more upset about this because this is material in the manga I really like. Like, this was one of my favorite arcs in the manga, and it's just like they're just dredging it down and ruining it after we just had some really good stuff happen recently with the pacing being fixed, and it is being affected by production. Like, production, studio meddling, and just overall, just like, we've got no people that are working on this show right now. We need to get all those people on Boruto. Just straight out all the way on there. But I'm done. Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed something different this week, because, yeah, enjoy a rant that is as long as the actual episode, so enjoy that. Enjoy listening to this rant as we're going through the episode. Fuck it, maybe someday I'll do live commentaries on some of these episodes, so why the fuck not? So, that's all from me. I'll see you guys, though, next time.